Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We review anything and everything. So, continuing my beta fish journey, uh, this is what I planned on doing. So, originally I said that I was going to put the two new betas in the tank that my snake was in, which was a 10-gallon tank. My main tank of betas was a 10-gallon tank, and the one that the new fish were in was a 5.5-gallon tank. What I decided to do was buy a 20-gallon tank, because what I'm going to end up doing is putting all the betas in the same tank. This includes the two non-related males and the juvenile males that are connected to my main beta's family from the main tank, which is a like kind of pink and bluish one, if you recall into the videos that I pointed out. So I took the same dirt that was in my tank for my snake, which was already wet dirt, because I would have it soaked a lot, because I would fill that tank, not fill it, but put about 1 inch worth of water in it, because one, it helped the plant grow, and two, that's some of the remnants of the plant. But I took the plant and planted it outside, because it's probably going to die when I fill this up with complete water. I kept the rock that was inside the tank with the snake, and I put that in here as well. And all of this soil is just very rich, because it's been in there with dying worms, with dying crickets that would, if the snake didn't eat it, some of the snake's skin, which I took the chunks of it out, but in case there was some, like, microscopic versions of it or pieces of it that got into the dirt. The point is, this dirt is very nutrient rich. So I am going to put gravel on top of this, because in my main tank, I never had a chance to do things the proper way, because I built it over time as I already had the fish in it, which kind of made it a little hard to then add certain things after the fact. So what I did with my 5.5-gallon tank, which you see has a layer of dirt and then gravel on top of it, which is like the proper way to kind of do it to make it look neat, have the plants already planted in it. I'm going to now be able to do that with this tank. The only thing that I decided on is, because this layer is very shallow in terms of dirt, and I really didn't want to make a really deep level of dirt, because even though I kind of intended to, the reason why I retracted on that is because then I would have had to get some new dirt and maybe soak it for a while, because I like to soak the dirt. And the only reason why is because I like it to get a little, before I put water in it, I like it to get weighted from the water, so that way it doesn't go all over the place when you soak it for a little bit. And in shallow water, it kind of already gets a chance to kind of settle. So now when you add more water to it, it's not just going to go everywhere. It will kind of pop up a little bit, but not as much, because now it's almost like weighted like a sponge. So in that case, it's going to just kind of really, for the most part, stay at the bottom. And so I didn't want to get new dirt to do that with. So for that reason, I was like, this is going to be fine. It's a pretty thin layer, but it should be fine enough, because all I really needed to do is have the plants grow. Now, my sword plants, I call them sword plants for short. I'm going to put the link in the description down below. I think they call like sword echidnas or something like that. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong, but the link's going to be in the description below. So with those, essentially, you can see the tank and the layer of it. It's not very deep. So with those, getting them deep, and they're already rooted, getting them deep would kind of be a little bit of a challenge. With this being pretty shallow, I could probably do it, but I don't know how well it would turn out. So what I'm probably going to do is, obviously you've seen in my previous tank, I had plastic Tupperware bowls that I originally put those plants in. There was 3 of them, because since the tank was already set up, it was the only way for me to get them into the tank in their own little pot of dirt, because I couldn't just dump a bunch of dirt in the tank once the tank already had fish in it and was already going, because then that dirt would just clouded up the tank and made it messy. The only way to do it was I soaked the pots with water in the dirt of the little Tupperware pots. So once it was soaked already with water in it, after like about an hour or so, or a little more than that, then what I did was, after I put the plants in them, I actually put them into the water. I think before I put the plants in, or after, I can't remember. I think I buried the plants in them first. I, like kind of put their roots in them. But then when I put those Tupperwares in there, because they already soaked in the water already, when I dipped them into water, into the tank, it didn't go all over the place. It kind of came up a little bit, but not that much because it's already weighted down by being in water anyway. So all you're doing is just putting it in more water, but you're not dumping it into water. You're just submerging it as I lowered it into it like that. So I'm thinking of doing the same rather than taking them out and just putting them here, because if I put them in here, and even if I bury them first and I plant them first, this dirt might not be high enough for those plants. Whereas if I leave them within their own bucket, their own little Tupperware container, I wouldn't have to worry about that. So I'm not really too sure how I'm going to do it. I might change my mind after the fact, but so far that's what I'm leaning to. This 20-gallon tank should be, let me get up so you get an idea of a 20-gallon tank size. It's obviously going to be 2 times the overall size of a 10-gallon tank, but in terms of length, it's maybe about maybe a tank and a half longer in length than a 10-gallon and a little bit wider than a 10-gallon. So it's not just long, like twice as long, but essentially I'm going to be able to try to house all of my fish in the same tank. And that way, this is just going to consolidate everything in one. And you will now see a video, there's not much of them online, where you're going to have multiple males in the same tank. Now, there are some videos that show that. I'm going to be working with the space limit of 20 gallons, which I have a theory now based on watching some other videos that you need at least 10 gallons, because someone had mentioned 2 feet of space per each male. I would say that roughly equates to about 10 gallons per male. So and since I have 2 main males that are not of the same bloodline, the 20 gallons should supplement for them. Since the juvenile males are already in the 10 gallon with their dad and there's no problem, those I'm not going to count them in terms of the count of males per 10 gallon. So I'm going to see how that works out. Worst case scenario, if it doesn't, I will use my 2.5 tank that is already set up, and I will just put whoever is acting up in that tank. But I'll give it some time, so they might fight a little bit, but someone has to establish dominance first, so that way there'll be a clear pecking order. So there's going to be a moment of fighting for a little bit, but I have enough plant life that it should, one, the plant life for my main tank should more than cover up this entire tank, and then 2, this gives some more space, so now those plants keep grow even more. So I'm looking forward to that. As always, you guys like, share, subscribe, and comment down below if you guys have any thoughts on this whole process, if you guys are doing something similar or whatever's going on. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video.